Bismarck Public Library has always been a part of my life. It was just a safe place, it was a sanctuary, it was a place of wonder. I could read all the books I wanted.
It has been an amazing place for us as a family.
The library probably is where my love of reading and learning started.
There's so many books here and there's so many subjects. It's so fun.
I'm still using this library. That's why my English level, I can say, is getting better.
I just loved the library from the moment I walked in.
Books and movies and video games, all sorts of things.
Well, it's meant a lot to me. I came to the library to study and to write up my PhD dissertation.
We've made friends with the librarians and really formed a community with them, and they've just kind of become an extension of our family.
For 100 years, the Bismarck Veterans Memorial Public Library has been a vital part of life in the capital city. From its beginning, the library has fostered education and development within our community. The library first began as a reading room established by a group of pioneer women in 1873, the same year Bismarck became a city.
Bismarck was a pretty rough town because a lot of the people that were moving into the area weren't necessarily particularly well educated. They were workmen, they were tradesmen, they were soldiers, some of them were gamblers, there were some ne'er-do-wells, there were some adventurers. But in that mix, early on, there were also this band of folks who had come from better circumstances. And many of these folks brought books with them. The steamboats, when they came to dock at Bismarck, would be asked if they had any reading materials to sell or to give or to trade or to donate. So there was always that interest.
The reading room was filled with books donated by local residents and soon grew to multiple reading rooms with 1,500 books housed at what became the local Chamber of Commerce. Starting in 1915, Clyde L. Young, a member of the first library board, corresponded with the Carnegie Corporation in New York City in order to obtain a grant to build a public library in the capital of North Dakota. Clyde would become known to many as the father of the Bismarck Public Library and continued to serve on the library board for 46 years. The Carnegie Corporation, established by philanthropist and patron saint of libraries Andrew Carnegie, approved Clyde's financial request and granted $25,000 with the stipulation that the city provided land and ongoing funding for the library. Young and Commissioner R.C. Beatty worked with the city to create a proposal to obtain the required funding and land. Arthur W. Lucas, who was Bismarck's mayor at the time, brought their proposal to the city commission, then to the community. The citizens voted in favor of supporting Bismarck's first public library by a landslide, and construction began in May of 1917 at the corner of 6th and Thayer Avenue. Before the end of the year, the Bismarck Public Library opened its doors with 4,000 books thanks to a book drive organized through the Chamber of Commerce. Florence H. Davis served as the first librarian.
Bismarck had everything a town could want in 1917. It had churches, it had schools, it had bars, it had state government and county government. But the frosting to the cake that made Bismarck the town it was is it got a library. You can't beat that.
Well, it was a beautiful building. And for the time that it was built, it was really quite a showplace. So the library sat very much in the middle of Bismarck. I mean, it was the middle of Bismarck, the heart, so to speak.
The Carnegie Library quickly flourished, and by the late 1950s, the book collection was over 39,000. A bookmobile traveled the community, and a children's librarian and cataloger were added to the staff.
Well, the Carnegie Library, which was a beautiful little jewel of a building, but it was too small. And I remember going there. I finally learned not to go during any time when the high school kids would be there because there was no place for them to sit. So they'd sit between the stacks, and if you wanted a book out of that stack, you had to kind of learn to jump over legs. And it was just so overcrowded.
It was a rather small building. And I think the use and demand for library materials had just outpaced and outgrown the size of the Carnegie.
For a city this size, we had to have a better library facility than that.
In the early 1960s, library director Andrew Hansen began planning a new 16,000 square foot, 3-level library building to be located at the corner of 6th and Avenue A. The building was financed through a $240,000 Veterans Bond levy, and the library was renamed in honor of the area's World War II and Korean War veterans.
Now the question was to get the books from the old library up to the new library. And one of the grocery stores in town had lent us their grocery carts. So we collected all kinds of volunteers. We each had a grocery cart. We filled it with books, toted it up to the new library, which is, a block away. And then we took an empty one back, and we did that all. It was one whole Saturday. That's all we did was tote those books up to the library.
About 100,000 books were moved. It was a group effort.
In 1963, the Bismarck Veterans Memorial Public Library opened its doors with a collection of 100,000 volumes, 6 full-time employees, and 10 part-time employees.
When I started working, it was, a new library. Then it was open. It had a big window to the north, shelves and a balcony to the west, and children's section on the east side.
I remember walking in and saying, my God, this will be good for 100 years. What could you want more?
Through the late 1960s and into the next 2 decades, use of the library increased as Burleigh County's population continued to grow. In the mid-1970s, Burleigh County began levying support to bring back the discontinued bookmobile and extend library services countywide. In 1975, the Bismarck Library Foundation was established to raise private funds for special library projects, and an endowment was created which now totals over $1 million.
The bookshelves of the Veterans Memorial Public Library will be filled in 4 to 5 years.
The children's area in approximately 3 to 4 years, and the adult area in probably the next 4 to 5 years.
The building that was built in 1963 was built for a city of about 30,000 people, and it was very crowded. It was very busy.
There was a crying need for space.
They had service 7 days a week, and Sundays it was standing room only.
In 1987, construction once again began to expand the library. This time, however, the library was able to expand on its existing building for a total of 70,000 square feet, taking up an entire city block. Completed in phases throughout the next 10 years, the library added a new main level, a lower level book stack area, and public meeting room space for local organizations and clubs.
We needed study rooms, we needed more meeting rooms, we needed more space for parking, just generally a much enlarged children's area.
In the 1980s, when the Veterans Memorial Public Library was expanded, the Library Foundation got very active in raising money to help build this library that we have now.
In the spring of 1989, we had a grand opening and we had a dedication on the front plaza and all that.
It's really a feeling of tremendous jubilation for the library staff and myself, and I know the Board of Trustees and the City Commissioners and the Mayor that are here.
The community was very excited at the time, and it was a lot of fun.
In the early 1990s, the Friends of the Bismarck Public Library, originally formed in the early 1960s, was reformed to fund special projects and purchases beyond the library's operating budget. Volunteers run semi-annual book sales and assist with library events in partnership with the Bismarck Library Foundation.
So both the Friends of the Bismarck Public Library and the Foundation really work together to ensure the library has a strong financial base for programs and services that might be outside of their usual budget. So we're both fundraising arms for the library to ensure that this place serves the community in a really strong way.
I don't think the library would have been able to do all that we've done without them because, for instance, the foundation was very helpful getting the building built, and especially with the meeting rooms. Then the Friends, of course, were having their book sales, and so they started contributing back. So they've made a tremendous difference having the foundation and the Friends of the library.
We also help sponsor programming, bring in musicians, bring in authors, bring in a lot of people that really help enrich in Bismarck and make more opportunities available.
The library now has a beautiful new children's library. It has a coffee shop, And the newest addition that the foundation was involved in is the new teen center that just opened this year.
Today, the library continues to help our community learn, create, and find new opportunities. With over 385,000 visits each year, it is one of the busiest facilities in the city. Its inventory consists of almost 300,000 audio, video, and digital items that circulate over 500,000 times each year. With public computers and free Wi-Fi, the library remains a vital economic source to central North Dakota. The professionally trained librarians assist people with creating resumes, applying for jobs, and conducting online research. Meeting and study rooms offer community members a space to collaborate and connect. The library also provides countless personal enrichment opportunities for people of all ages with story times, book clubs, movie nights, and year-round programming. Outreach services throughout the city and county are made possible with the mobile library and bookmobile to ensure that all surrounding youth and older adults have access to the Bismarck Library services.
When you look back at Bismarck from 1917 to present, so much has changed, both with the size and the population, the diversity in our community, and the library has always been there throughout that entire 100 years. And all of the library directors who've served here and the staff were good about looking into the community, what needs need to be met, and growing along with the library. And it's due to their forward thinking that we've been able to expand over the last 100 years, and all of our services have also grown with the community.
Our library is amazing and we're very fortunate.
There are wonderful people who work at the library.
And we have such a variety of things available.
I love movies, I love games, I love books.
There's really something for everybody here.
It's a great community place.
The selection here, this library, bar none, probably the best in the state.
None of the libraries have been as accommodating as the Bismarck Public Library.
The library is a place of acceptance, and it's for people of all abilities and all walks of life to be able to come and be a part of a community.
And there's really nothing like this place anywhere else in town.
Here, it almost brings me to tears because my kids have such a fabulous children's library, such a fabulous library in general. And we leave here and it's like we've been on vacation for an hour and a half.
As Bismarck continues to grow, so does the library and its importance to the community. Thanks to the dedication and support of so many, the Bismarck Veterans Memorial Public Library looks forward to another 100 years. To learn more, visit bismarcklibrary.org.